Emma Carter, at 24, used to reside with her father, stepmother, and older brother Jake, until a demand from her stepmother, Linda, prompted a drastic change. After a long day at work, exhausted as always, Emma returned home, having contributed significantly to household expenses. Yet, when she entered the kitchen, she was met with a cold look from Linda, who was seated with Emma's father as he flipped through the mail. "We need to talk," Linda said, arms crossed, indicating an ominous conversation. Sitting down with a sigh, Emma sensed the conversation would not be favorable. Linda stated, "You're an adult now. If you want to remain in this house, you need to start paying rent." Confused, Emma blinked at the notion of paying rent, given she already covered much, from groceries to electricity and part of the mortgage, but Linda behaved as if she contributed nothing. "Linda, I already assist with the bills," Emma remarked, striving to maintain a steady tone. Despite Emma's protest, Linda dismissed her efforts. "That's irrelevant. From now on, you'll need to provide a fixed sum each month." "It's only fair," she insisted. Hoping for backup, Emma turned to her father. "Dad, you know how much I already pay. Why are you okay with this?" Her father sighed, setting the mail aside. "Linda's correct, Emma. You live here, so you should pay your share." Emma's heart sank as her father sided with Linda, exacerbated by their belief that Jake was the one financially responsible, despite his minimal contributions. This favoritism, juxtaposed with her own efforts, firmed Emma's resolve. "Fine," she declared, rising from her seat. "If I have to pay rent to stay, I'll leave instead." That night, she packed her bags and departed. Initially, no one seemed to mind, likely believing Jake could shoulder the financial burden alone. But soon, the reality of the situation would unveil itself. Although leaving home could have been a fresh start, it felt like an encroaching storm. As Emma trudged down the driveway, suitcase in tow, she hoped someone might stop her, yet not a word was uttered. No one asked her destination or suggested discussing the issue. Their indifference was evident. With some savings, Emma checked into a small motel, finding solace in the modest room's peace, despite the uncomfortable bed and rattling air conditioner. Free from their roof for the first time in years, it was a small victory. The following morning, the absence of missed calls from her father, Jake, or Linda signified their continued detachment. Emma sighed, dispelling her disappointment. It was clear if they didn't need her, she could move forward without them. Weeks passed in her newfound independence, leading to a move into a modest apartment, symbolizing a new chapter in Emma's life. Sharing rent with a colleague wasn't ideal, but it was my own place. Then the phone calls started. Initially, it was just my dad, then another, and unexpectedly, Jake called. I ignored it, but curiosity made me answer when Dad dialed again. His voice was strained. "Emma, we have to talk." I leaned back on the couch. "Oh, now you want to chat?" He sighed deeply. "Listen, I know you're angry, but we're in financial trouble." I bit my lip, amused by the irony. "So, now that bills don't magically pay themselves, you're in trouble?" "Maybe ask Jake," I suggested. Silence. That's when they realized Jake hadn't been paying. He never was. 2 days later, Jake appeared at my apartment door. Staring through the peephole, I hesitated to open it. For years, they saw him as responsible, burdened with household duties, while I was invisible, doing all the gritty work. I eventually let him in, arms crossed. "What do you want?" He looked uneasy, unlike his usual self. "Emma, listen," he said, rubbing his neck. "I know things went wrong, but we need a solution." I raised an eyebrow. "We?" He sighed. "Look, I didn't mean for it to escalate. Linda assumed I managed expenses, and I didn't correct her. Not my fault." I scoffed. "You let her believe it while I barely made ends meet." He admitted after a pause. "They're in trouble, Emma. Dad's stressed, Linda's panicking, they can't manage the bills. They need help." I gazed at him. After all of it, they still expected I could save them. I shook my head. "That's their problem, not mine." He appeared stunned. "You're just walking away?" he asked. I stood firm. "I already have." Soon after, things unraveled for them quickly. Linda tried to put on a brave face, but financially, they collapsed. Skipped mortgage payments led to power shutoffs, and Jake wasn't the favored child anymore. Remarkably, people noticed neighbors, family, friends, even relatives who used to praise them both. And for once, I was free. Free from being invisible, free from tiptoeing around, living life by my own rules. But I sensed my past wasn't entirely behind me yet. A month went by without any message from my family, and I wondered if they finally, after a taxing shift at work one evening, I returned home to find Linda waiting outside my apartment building. Of all people, I never expected her to come looking for me. My heart clenched. She spotted me, stood taller, and called out, "Emma." Although I considered turning away, there was something in her weary, desperate appearance that gave me pause. "What do you want?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Linda sighed heavily. "We should talk." Crossing my arms, I asked, "Talk about what?" "How you made me pay all the bills, gave Jake the credit, and forced me out when I finally had enough." She pursed her lips and replied, "That's not what happened." I laughed bitterly. "Oh, really? Then please, Linda, enlighten me on what did occur." For the first time in years, she had no sharp retort. Hesitating instead, she looked away, seemingly searching for the correct words. Eventually, she confessed, "We're losing the house." The revelation didn't surprise me. I foresaw this the moment I left. Yet, hearing Linda say it was different. "Jake can't afford to handle everything," she admitted. "We thought," she cut herself off, and I raised an eyebrow. "You thought what?" "That I'd feel guilty and save the day." She fell silent. I shook my head. "Not my problem." Her gaze sharpened. "Emma, this is your family." That word, family, stung. She'd never treated me like one. I inhaled deeply. "No, Linda. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. I was only an ATM to you, and now you're seeing the consequences of your choices." She swallowed hard. "I made mistakes." I blinked. Was that an apology? No. She wasn't remorseful for her actions, but rather the circumstances. I refused to let guilt settle in. "I hope things work out, Linda, but I'm not coming back." I turned and left. I thought it was over, yet a week later, I received a call that changed everything. It was Jake, his voice full of panic. "Emma, Dad collapsed. He's in the hospital." My heart clenched with worry for Dad, not Linda or Jake. I didn't hesitate. "I'm on my way." Yet something warned me this was merely the beginning. With trembling hands, I hung up and rushed out, concern for Dad fueling my haste. Despite my anger at him for siding with Linda, he remained my father, and losing him wasn't an option I was prepared for. I grabbed my keys and hurried to my car. The journey to the hospital was a blur, red lights, blaring horns, and my pounding heartbeat drowning everything else. Upon arrival, breathless, I saw Jake in the waiting area, pacing. Relief flooded his face when he saw me. Emma stood in the waiting area. Jake approached her, his voice tense as he informed, "F0, they still running tests." F/, she swallowed hard and asked, "F0, what happened?" F/, Jake, brushing a hand through his hair, sighed, "F0, he just collapsed. 1 minute he was fine. The next, he was on the floor." F/, Emma inquired anxiously, "F0, is he awake?" F/, Jake shook his head, "F0, not yet." F/. Linda suddenly appeared, looking frazzled, her eyes red. Upon seeing Emma, she halted, and they exchanged a silent moment. Linda finally murmured, "F0, I called you." F/, Emma frowned. "F0, no, you didn't." F/, Linda's expression flickered. "F0, I wanted to." F/, unsure if Linda was sincere. Emma felt too drained to argue further. A doctor entered, asking, "F0, Carter family?" F/ promptly. They gathered around him. "F0, how is he?" F/ Emma inquired. The doctor, with a weary sigh, responded, "F0, he had a minor heart attack. He's stabilized but needs rest and a healthier lifestyle to reduce stress." F/ Emma exhaled, echoing fearfully, "F0, a heart attack. He's not invincible." F/. "L0, he's awake if you want to see him." The doctor added, leading her to her father's room. She stepped inside, her heart heavy as she saw her father looking frail, lying pale and weary in the hospital bed. Hey, Dad. She said softly, prompting his slow turn towards her. His gaze settled on Emma, brimming with unexpected tears. Emma. He whispered, struggling. Emma edged closer as he took a labored breath. I messed up, didn't I? She confessed, driving tears to her eyes, which she fought to suppress. Yeah, Dad, you did, she responded. He nodded, reflecting. I let Linda have too much control. I should have defended you, Silently, she let him continue. I know you help with the bills, he admitted. I just didn't want to fight with Linda, biting her lip. She reflected how it felt easier for him, uncomfortable for her. He reached for her hand. I am sorry, Emma, he expressed, sincere for the first time. Emma gently squeezed his hand. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, she confessed. He nodded his understanding, intense with newfound comprehension. Leaving the room, Emma noticed Linda lingering nearby, looking defeated. Despite intending to walk past, Linda called, Emma. Wait, resigned. Emma sighed. What, Linda? Linda hesitated the question. Are you really never coming back? Spilling forth. Emma turned to her, querying, why do you care? You wanted me gone. Linda averted her gaze. I didn't think it would end like this. She confessed. Emma crossed her arms. You didn't think I'd actually leave? She challenged. Linda stayed silent, having long made Emma feel burdensome, insignificant. Inhaling deeply, Emma resolved. I've built my own life now, Linda, she declared, no longer the girl who endured Linda's disregard. Leaving the hospital that night was unlike any other time. It felt lighter, as if the burdens of my family were finally lifted from my shoulders. I knew it was the end as I turned away and walked out for good. This new sense of freedom carried its own challenges. On my drive back to my apartment, my mind raced. My dad had actually admitted he was wrong and apologized to me. But could I forgive him despite this? Linda, once the proud and arrogant woman I knew, seemed broken now. Was it guilt or simple regret at the collapse of her perfect world? I tried to push these thoughts aside as I entered my apartment. This was the life I had chosen, with no desire to look back. A few days later, my phone buzzed at work. It was a text from Dad. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'd like to try. Maybe dinner? Just the two of us sometime. And I felt a swirl of emotions. A month prior, I would have ignored it, but now I was unsure whether to give him a chance. I typed back, I'll think about it. Baby steps. That evening, while settling in with a book, I heard a knock at the door. Slightly annoyed, I thought it might be a salesperson, but to my surprise, it was Jake. Can we talk? He asked uncertainly. I folded my arms. About what? How you let Linda treat me terribly, or let her believe you were handling the bills when you weren't. He rubbed his temples, admitting he messed up. I leaned on the door frame. Yes, Jake, you did. He confessed liking the favoritism and ease, yet realized my contributions only after everything fell apart, when I left. I stayed quiet, allowing him to explain. I should have never let you shoulder everything. I'm really sorry, Emma. Searching Jake's face for dishonesty, I found sincerity instead. You're a bit late, don't you think? I breathed out. I know, he admitted, but I still needed to say it. For the first time, I saw him not as the golden child but as someone flawed like me. Apology accepted. I softened. But I'm not going back. That life is over. Jake nodded. I know. I just hope we can be family again someday. I hesitated. We'll see. Maybe not today, maybe not soon, but someday. A week later, sitting in a quiet cafe, sipping my drink, I watched life continue around me. For the first time, I wasn't living in anyone's shadow or bearing others' burdens. I was just Emma. And that felt like enough.